Hello and welcome to this service. We're going to look at the parable of the talents, which we'll hear in a moment. But before we do, I should perhaps warn you that you might find it a little difficult to follow. I've opted for the King James Version, so you might find the language a little difficult, but I do have a reason for choosing it, which we'll come on to later. So, Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30, from the King James Version. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man travelling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. And he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there hast that which is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I guess it's a parable you know well, told in Matthew and Luke, though Luke's version is a little different. In brief, it's about a master who goes on a journey, but before leaving gives sums of money to 3 of his servants according to their abilities, and upon his return settles accounts. 2 of the servants are praised for doubling what the master has given them, but the 3rd servant is severely chastised for doing no more than burying his master's gift. To me, this is a parable that is always, well, it's a challenge, and it's a bit difficult to work out who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. Some weeks ago we discussed it in our Bible study, and as ever, it raised an interesting debate. I'm going to take a slant on the story, and I'll begin with an amount of background information, because I think in this parable it's quite important. Let's start with that word talent. I can't speak for other European languages, but it didn't appear in the English language until around the 13th century, hundreds of years after the parable was first told. And we have an understanding of the word to mean an innate ability or skill. Now this rather specific meaning almost certainly comes from interpreting the parable, and that could be unfortunate, for you will have a predetermined interpretation. However, at the time of Jesus, talent meant something quite different. It was a unit of weight or money, and its weight was something between 20 to 80 kilograms, not something you could put in your pocket. And that's important because we now move on to the monetary value. A talent sterling, as we might say, was the equivalent of that hefty weight in silver, resulting in a value today of £12,000 to £50,000. I did read that a talent would be the equivalent of 3 years' earnings for a labourer in those ancient times. The point I want to get across is that we are not talking about a few coins. This is very serious money. A second point is that Roman society, under which the Jews lived, was very monetaristic. Wealthy aristocrats, paid army, taxes were all a part of it. However, the Jews, subsumed into this monetaristic society, would probably have viewed things very differently. They had a law which stated that if you loaned money to a fellow Jew, then you were not to charge interest. So we might deduce from this that the Jews had a view about interest charges. They were perhaps a bit distasteful. So try to imagine we are Jews, with you standing next to me in a crowd, listening to Jesus telling us this parable. And he begins, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man travelling into a far country, who called his own servants, and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents. At that point, I think I would gasp. 5 talents. A man gives his servant 5 talents. And then I hear 2 talents and another talent. And then I hear 5 and 2 become 10 and 4, plus that other one. That's 15 talents in all. It's an obscene amount of money. But then as I listen further, I wonder, is it all about money? Each was given according to their abilities, and they went out and used their God-given skills and were rewarded accordingly. So I assign roles to this story. Clearly the Master is God, who gives us all skills and abilities, and we must use them to his greater glory and increase that glory until we come to the last servant who buried his talent, hid it away. Is that me? Have I wasted what God has given so generously in the things that I could have done, and therefore cruelly cast out with the words, "Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath." Harsh judgment indeed. But wait, is this about money after all? Or at least a comment on what a monetaristic society leads to, where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, to the point where the poor have nothing because it's all being given to the rich, even when they don't need it. It has a familiar ring to it, doesn't it? What if I have assigned the wrong roles? What if the Master is in fact Satan and has plied the servants with money? They go out and cheat everyone for their own gain. The Master is a hard master who turns the screw so much that he grows crops where there is no soil and makes a harvest out of nothing, trampling into nothingness those who don't provide a return. He might give generously, but expects, even demands, a return. And there is another clue here, with the Master chastising, as King James puts it, "Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury." Usury is not a term we speak about very much. It means extortionate interest rates, and I have to say that a lot turns on that word for me. If Jesus did use that turn of phrase, a Jew might find it quite inflammatory. It's Jesus turning social standards on their head, as he often did. I don't know about you, but my head is spinning, and I think we need Jesus to explain what it's all about. So there we are, standing in the crowd, churning all this around, and we await the words of Jesus to reveal all. But he doesn't. And we are left in mid-air. So where does that leave us? Is it about the use of gifts that God has given us with a warning that non-use is really a sin? And that if we do use our gifts, we will receive twice what we have done? Or is it about being part of a mean, grasping society that takes from the poor and gives to the rich? Or is it both? Or is it about something that I haven't thought of and you have? In which case, please tell me. The best explanation I've heard is from one person in our Bible study who said, "The purpose of parables is to make you think." It's certainly done that. Amen. Some years ago I was at a conference which was about the healing ministry, and I was inspired to write a song about healing. More recently, while thinking about all the troubles we've had in the world, especially with pandemics, it occurred to me that we could use a lot of healing. So I took my song out of the archives, dusted it off, set an arrangement and then recorded it. It's actually a personal prayer aimed at those feelings when everything in the world seems to be piling on top, when you just can't cope, and there's a need to lay all those troubles on the shoulders of the Lord. It seemed to me, therefore, that this prayer might be a suitable benediction. Healing Lord.
Heavenly Father, dwell in me, bring me peace, set me free from all my worries, all my cares. Take me now and calm my fears, all my sorrows set aside. Let me feel your grace abide. Healing hands fall on me, lay with your love forever fill my day. Heavenly Father, here and now, pour upon me healing now. Let your Spirit through me flow, healing Lord, your grace bestow. So may all my future days be filled with faith and in your ways, guidance to the hands of God, evermore the life that will unfold. So may all my future days be filled with faith and in your ways, guidance to